Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This time we're looking at the design changes that just have been released for the Vermin Swarm and Dread Elf Alpha Army books. So the Vermin Swarm is a really new book and the Dread Elves are a bit longer around. But there's already some changes to it. This is quite normal for the Alpha books because there's some things that the designers don't catch in the first time, and especially with the Vermin Swarm book, they really wanted the community in as a whole to be involved in the developing process rather than only the playtesters. So yeah, the Vermin Swarm Alpha design changes. First thing that well, there's a couple of just fixes in the design changes that work on rules as they were intended, but they were written in a different way, such as the Eagle standard. It only works now if the unit is non-fleeing, and it gives only one minimized rule for multiple Eagle standards. That was a bit of an absurd situation where you could get like 5 minimized rules for a unit. Also, the Endless Tide on the Rat Swarms that you can summon through the Hereditary spell. In the old phrasing, basically it meant that it could also be used to chap charges. And this new updated version, you have a clarification that it can be touched by other units during any movements, including charges, so that they don't stop enemies from charging you anymore. The Orb of Atreus, that gives you +1 to wound on your shooting. You cannot nominate a unit that has already fired. Yeah, stuff like that. So the things that speak to me the most in this update is mostly the Scorched Alchemist, that +2 agility and +2 offensive is replaced with lightning reflexes. Against some armies this is stronger, against other armies the +2 agility was really detrimental because basically it was a potion of swiftness for your entire unit. So that is gone is good. The Storm Rocket also went up in price from 40 points to 65 points, and you suffer a hit when you roll a 1 to hit. I don't know if this is the right balance point for this item, but yeah, we'll have to just experience it, I guess. Yeah, I think in general it's a good upgrade. We're getting closer to something that feels kind of balanced, but I think still that there's some work to be done. Then let's go to the Dread Elf changes. So there's a couple of yeah, really influential changes here. The first one is that the hereditary spell is reworked. So quite late in the book design, changing the hereditary spell. I think it also happened to Infernal Dwarves, I believe. And I basically have been saying this from the start of the Red Elf army book, that the new hereditary was not worth casting, and a lot of playtesters agreed with me. Then we have the Blades of Darak. They have their strength bonus capped at +2. This is something that came up in a couple of games where you can basically create an overpowered, well, not that overpowered, but a very potent Death Star unit based on the Blades of Darak, where you have like 2 strength bonuses yourself, and then your opponent can still cast a spell on it. That became quite crazy. Yeah, the Beastmaster's Whistle also working on Manticores. It's just a flavor upgrade basically. This is also a big one. The Warlock Outcast is a wizard adept with the option of becoming a master. So this is to fix the character section a bit more. The previous book, or the previous iteration, only allowed you to get a wizard adept through a temple legate, and the Warlock Outcast was automatically a master. He cannot be a general, whether he's a wizard adept or a wizard master. But it gives you the flexibility of playing a character that doesn't necessarily have to be a master and doesn't want to be involved in combat. So that is going to allow for a better internal balance also between the Temple Legate and the Warlock Outcast. Because otherwise everybody will always play a Temple Legate, because that is the only way to get a Wizard Adept. Except for the champion on the Acolytes. Then this is also an interesting one. The Manticore is Resilience 4, but the Extraordinary Specimen rule sets the Resilience to 5. I really like this, because on the 50mm base they can now appropriately price it, and also the upgrade gets you something that is really valuable with the Resilience 5. I would even like it more maybe if the mobility for the Resilience 4 piece would go a little bit up then, like 2 inches extra movement or so, but yeah, this is already quite fun to see. The Raptor Chariot mount loses the crew member. I'm really sad about that one, because now you're only gonna have the Prince on it. But then again, his damage output was already quite okay. This is one of the bigger ones for me. The Harpy's minimum size changed to 5, and they gain devastating charge plus 1 attack value. But I'll get to the profile later. Then the Divine Altar gains Frenzy, loses 1 HP, Blades of Dark, blah blah blah. It also gains the close combat weapon of the models in the unit, which is really fun, I would say. Yeah, I think this was a bit of a balancing choice, and giving the loss of 1 HP to the Crucible of Slaughter. And I think it's just in a good spot now with the cap on the Blades of Darak. Yeah, and for the rest, they're just some kind of minor tweaks. Let's still talk about the hereditary spell. So this is going to be now the Curse of the Phantom Queen. It's the same name. It's a bit of a mirror now of the Highborn Elf hereditary face. No, not face miasma. Maladis, Favor of Maladis. So the Dark Elf version, Dread Elf version, is going to be that you gain 1 veil token that is not removed at the end of the spell's duration. When an enemy inflicts 1 or more health point losses against a friendly unit within 18 inches of the caster, you may discard up to 2 veil tokens from your veil token pool. For every discarded veil token, the enemy unit immediately suffers D3+1 hits with Strength 4 and AP 2. So the only range constraint that you have on this spell is that something has to be within 18 inches of your caster. So you can basically fit your entire army in a bubble of 18 inches within your caster. And then if your opponent shoots at your units, then you can make them suffer hits at Strength 4. So for example, a War Machine, I think War Machines are nearly the best targets for this spell now. If a War Machine shoots at you, you can discard 2 veil tokens to make it suffer 2d3 plus 2 hits with Strength 4. Against most War Machines, that will result in like 3 wounds or so, I think. So you would have to do this twice in order to kill the War Machine, if this would be your only way of dealing with the War Machine. But yet still, I think for your enemy, it is still worth it to target your units whilst you have the effect of this spell. In addition, it is a spell that affects the caster for 1 turn, so this also works with to trigger the Blades of Darak. So if you have a unit with Blades of Darak, you have the caster in the unit, and you cast this spell, then the entire unit is going to get +1 strength, because it is a spell that affects the unit for 1 turn, and at least 1 model in the unit is affected. Then combat-wise, this is a bit less interesting than the previous hereditary spell, but the previous hereditary spell was quite strong, that for every health point loss you took a Strength 4 hit. Now at each initiative step you could potentially discard up to 2 veil tokens. This is quite strong because it makes it that you can swing some combats within 18 inches of your caster if your opponent lets this through. And then, for a total of 4 veil token discarded at different initiative agility steps, you could get a total of 43 plus 4 hits. So that is quite remarkable. However, this would be in the condition where you already left 3 veil tokens in your pool, and you took an extra one that you wouldn't lose at the end of the spell's duration. So that is quite a rare situation, I would guess. But still, it's a decent spell. In the end, you do have to get rid of veil tokens for this. so you might want to get some more Veil tokens in the list. I'm personally a big fan of the Effigy of Dread, and I think that this me being a fan of it will just increase the further we go. Then we'll just quickly discuss the Harpies, which I think is a really interesting choice now. So 5 models for 170 points, 12 points per extra model. I don't think now anymore I would field them in minimum size units. However, there's a lot of people that are complaining that they only have 5 models, etc., etc. So I'm gonna try to make a mix of some Harpy models and some unit fillers like gargoyles, statues, or something to expand my collection a bit. Because a unit of 12 of these guys, I'll just have to do a quick calculation. They are not going to be too expensive because you end up with a unit that is 254 points. They are only resilience 3, but they do have hard target 1, so you are kind of protected from shooting. You have quite good mobility with an 18-inch march, and you have flight 10 inches, and you have Scent of Blood. So you have an 11-inch charge range with Swift Stride, so you're really good at hunting down war machines or anything else in the backline. And with Devastating Charge plus 1 attack, this is really going to be possible once you play the unit 5 wide. Or even 4 wide could work. So 4 wide 12 models, you're gonna have a decent footprint, however. But if you charge in, you're gonna have the Devastating Charge to trigger, so 4 times. You're gonna get 16 attacks at strength 4. And if you play them 5 wide, I don't think you can fit 5 wide against the War Machine, but 4 wide, you do 4 wounds against the War Machine and probably be able to take it out. And also against some chaff units, you're going to be quite decently skilled to take them off. The unit does have still very big weaknesses in only being Discipline 6. And also just having Resilience 3, Armor 0, AP 0. So it is really a specialist unit, but I think it fits well with the new Dread Elves now. That's going to be it for today. I hope you liked this quick update, and I'll see you the next time.